So we're going to start with a riddle. I'm going to give you a quote of one of the leaders of Zionism, and I want you to tell me who it is. So this individual said, "Not a foreign land did we conquer, nor did we take others' property. But what we did was returned our parents' estate, which our enemies took from us illegally, and when we had the opportunity, we took it back." Who said it? Not Ben Gurion, no. Jabotinsky, no. Begin, no. Well, anyone else? We're talking about, this quote is from 2,150 years ago, Simon the Chashmonai. In about a month, we're going to celebrate Hanukkah and the Maccabim. And you know, we're told again and again about our occupied land. One cannot occupy his own home. In my previous life, I ran a business, and if one of my managers came over and said, "You know, I tried this plan and failed, and you know what? I tried the same exact plan again, and I failed again." And then he comes and says, "You know what? I tried the exact same plan a third time, and I failed." I'd fire him. But that's exactly what's happening. The world, and in Israel, way too many people are trying and walking down a failed path of injecting a foreign, failed, hostile Palestinian state into the heart of Israel. And every time they're surprised again, we get suicide bombers, we get the second intifada. You know what? In the Gaza Strip, we did everything by the book. We pulled out to the 67 lines. We pulled out the soldiers. We displaced the Jews. And we handed it over to whom? To Abu Mazen. And what we've gotten is an ongoing failed terror state that now targets all the way to Tel Aviv. And this approach that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is at the center of the Middle East. If only we solve that, all the problems will evaporate. And another approach that's been haunting us for decades is that we have to stay distant. We, America, should distance ourselves from Israel so the Arab states will like us. It's utterly wrong. It doesn't work. The real picture is that there's a battle between radical Islam and the free world. And Israel is at the center, at the front lines of it. But you know what their strategy is? Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, once he called it the spider webs. He said those Jews, it looks strong, but you just wipe them away. But the reality is, it's not spider webs, it's webs of steel that date back 3,800 years. So you might ask, what's our plan? Here's our plan. Our vision for Israel is the following. Yeah, there's a storm in the Middle East. The Arab Spring that morphed into a Muslim winter. But amid that storm, there's a tower. There's a big tower, a lighthouse. And Israel is the lighthouse in the storm. Israel exports water technologies, energy. We generate food in Africa, in China. We're the biggest cybersecurity exporter in the world. In fact, all of you are using my own software every time you log into your online banking. Yep. When you log in with your username and password, it's my company that does it. But most importantly, we show the world that even though we're surrounded with the most maniacal regimes in the world, I mean, for you, for people in America, Syria is news. For us, it's a neighbor. Syria, Hezbollah, ISIS, Hamas. But amid all of this, we're a tower of democracy, of freedom, of Yahadut. And really, Yahadut and Judaism is the source of it all. When my dad and mom were born in San Francisco, totally secular, first time they came to Israel was the first time my dad made an aliyah to the Torah. More than I'll finish in 1 minute, I promise. Just got to tell you this story. So he came up, and the guy said, the gabbai said, "Ech korim lecha?" And he said, "James." So he said, "No, you're Hashem ha'ivri shelcha. Yaakov, ben 30. And we need every Jew in the world to be connected to his roots. And with that, we will win. So I'll just end with a little bracha, because right now, right this very moment, on the border in Lebanon, we have soldiers who are defending us. On the border in the Sinai, on the border in Gaza. מי שבירך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל. God bless you.
I want to tell you quickly one thing about Bernie. Besides leading probably one of the greatest success stories and founding one of the greatest success stories in American corporate history, at that same time he was doing that, Bernie was passionate about being a great American and also a champion of Israel. And watching Bernie, all of his success, being driven to do what he can to make America great, at the same time he recognized his heritage and the importance of protecting and supporting and loving Israel. That's all I have to say. Is that short enough?
Well, thank you, Mort, for asking me to give Bernie his award tonight, because he gave me mine 2 years ago. And I want you to know it's much better to give than to receive, because I didn't have to prepare any remarks tonight. And I'm not sure that Bernie did either, but you'll hear from him. I met Bernie Marcus in 1985. He was a member of a golf group at the Standard Club in Atlanta called the Substandards. That's not a joke. I was asked to join the group by another member of the Atlanta community, and we met on the golf course. And afterwards, they asked me how I'd like playing with Bernie, and I said it was fun, we had a good time. They say, "Do you know how important he is?" And I said, "No, he was just a guy on a golf course." And he said, "Well, he is the founder of Home Depot." And I said, "What's Home Depot?" I had come down from Chicago, and I didn't know that they had stores and whatever. And they said, "Well, he's in the hardware store business." So I said, "I've never been in a hardware store. I'm a Jew." So then next time I played golf with Bernie, I said, "Could you tell me something about it?" And he said he'd never been in a hardware store either. But I will tell you that seriously, we played a lot of golf together. I watched him struggle with his golf lessons and everything else, but here's a couple of things that I found. Bernie Marcus, if you don't know, I'm not going to mention his age, but he's older than I am, and that's old. But he's still at work doing spectacular, spectacular things for the Jewish people, for the state of Israel, in the medical world, and now and most recently for the United States of America, which he has always loved. Just a couple of things I want to say. Bernie never forgot where he came from, never forgot his roots, never forgot those opportunities that were given to him, and never forgot being Jewish, and never will. He is the epitome of the American dream, having come from nothing except the values of his parents and his home and his family to achieve what he has achieved. The other day, and I'll finish this introduction by telling you just a story that happened. Bernie and I were discussing what he was going to be doing over the next couple of years, as long as he could. And he said, "I have nothing left to do except to work for the betterment of the United States of America." And he's doing it all day, in spite of all the other commitments of saving lives like he does, and the charities and the systems that he presents at his foundation. So Bernie's going to get an award tonight called the Justice Brandeis Award, which also epitomizes a gentleman who fought anti-Semitism and became the first Supreme Court Jewish Justice of the United States. And it's very fitting that Bernie receive such an award, because Bernie has an neshama that Louis Brandeis had. And he has the United States, the state of Israel, and Jewishness right in his kishkis all the time. And for that, my honor to present Bernie with the Brandeis Award this year.
Whoa. Oh, my God.
Presented to Bernie Marcus for your principled and extraordinary support of the Jewish state, your courageous, focused, and myriad works for the Jewish people and all humankind should be and is an inspiration for all of us. Your pro-Israel philanthropy turns heartfelt words into powerful and effective actions.
Okay, thank you. And first of all, I want to clear the air about Jewish people not going to hardware. How many people here shop at a Home Depot? How many people here? And how many people shop the other guys? Anybody? Shonda. Should be ashamed of yourself. You walk into that store, God will punish you. Kenny, is that good? Did I say the right thing? Thank you very much. Thanks for the honor. And that is one of the nicest awards I've ever received, honestly. It's a little heavy. I'll let my wife carry it. Billy, my wife Billy's the Stark in the family. She's also the chairman of the board. Before I forget, before I start, let me tell you a story. This is a really, those of you who are speaking, this is a very interesting story. New York Times, that great, wonderful publication in the city of New York. What is this? I don't get it. They had a reporter that heard about a rabbi in Israel, in Jerusalem, that prayed at the wall 7 days a week. Morning, noon, night, summer, winter, through storms, through wars, 1 war, 2 wars. They threw rocks at him, off buildings, off the top of the wall. He stayed there and he prayed 7 times a day. He got on a plane, this reporter from New York Times, and went to Israel. And he saw him at the wall and he said, "Is it true, Rabbi? You've been at this wall for 60 years praying 7 times a day." He says, "Yeah, I'm here 7 days, 7. It's raining, it's pouring, it's cold. But I come, I pray, I have to daven." He's my God. He says, "That's wonderful. And what do you pray for?" He said, "Well, I pray for things like peace in the world. I pray for happiness for all kinds of people. I pray for my family to be healthy. I pray that maybe one day Obama and Bibi would get together and become real friends. I pray for this, and I pray that one day the Arabs and the Jews will meet, will love each other, feel for each other, support each other. He says, my God, that's wonderful. And how do you feel about that? He says, it's like talking to a wall. That is what we Jews have felt alike about the last 8 years. And I must tell you that I'm one of the happiest people in the world to see some sense come into this White House and somebody who I know is going to be a friend of Israel. But you know, as Kenny and Mike said, being a friend of Israel is one thing. Being a friend of this country is another thing. We are so importantly in need of somebody who cares about the people here in this country. And you saw what happened in the Midwest, all the people who have been left out. Not the elitists. You notice the elitists are all the Eastern Seaboard and the West Coast, period. All of the elites. The real people in America, Kenny, Home Depot customers, are the guys who have been killed, all right? We love them, and thank God they came out and they voted the right way, and we're happy about it. I want to thank Kenny and I want to thank Mike for their words. These are old friends of mine. Mike, since the 80s. Kenny, probably all of my life. And I've had success in this world really due to Gary Earlbaum, who really is like, you know, he's a nothing guy. Gary, and yeah, who introduced Kenny to me. And that started a friendship that's more like a brother, two brothers together. And we have become successful together. And I don't think we've ever had over, how many years now, Kenny? 45 years? Something like that. You know, I'm old, Kenny. You know, they talked about the guy 1,000 years ago. I was there. I was there 1,000 years ago. I was there. But we did have a great run at the Home Depot. And it's always been my belief, starting way, way back, and I have to go back and tell you a story if you have a minute. You have a minute? Years ago, I always wanted to be a doctor. And from the time I was 14 years old, I studied anatomic books. I knew everything about the body. I knew every muscle, bone in the body. When I would go to see the doctor, I would tell him what was wrong with me and how to fix me. And I really wanted to be a doctor. I took 2 years of pre-med. I was a good student, applied to medical school, and couldn't get in. Guess why? There was a 10% quota. This is now in 1950. That'll tell you how old I was. In 1950, there was a 10% quota on Jewish students getting into universities. That was my first beginning of what anti-Semitism looked like. And it stayed that way. I was destroyed. I couldn't get and do the thing I really wanted to do. And so I picked the next choice. I ran a hardware store, but that's not the important thing. Something changed in the world, and what changed in the world was 1948, the establishment of the State of Israel. And I tell young people today, and I speak to many young people today, I said, you don't know how good your life is because of what happened in Israel. Many of you who are in universities joining anti-Israel organizations don't understand that Israel saved your lives and your careers. Because when Israel was formed, things changed. Things changed for Jews in the United States. There were no Jewish bankers, Kenny, you know that. They had to form their own, Goldman Sachs, Kuhn and Company. There were no big companies. I remember selling bonds, Israel bonds, in the 70s to one of the major companies in the United States, and I mean major. They put me in front of their board of directors, and I said to them, that, by the way, they had 10,000 people working for them. In those days, that was a lot of people. And I said, are any Jews here? And they looked at me, and I said, do you at least have a Jewish accountant? Do you have a Jewish lawyer? And the CEO sheepishly looked at me and said, no, I don't think so. By the way, they didn't have a Jew working in their entire company. Look what happened after Israel was formed. Look what happened to us as a people here in the United States. So when I talk about Israel, I talk about something that helped us, all of us, become stronger, better, and survivors of what's happening in the rest of the world. But we have to be very careful as Jews. What happened in Germany in the 1930s, what's happened in France today, what's happening in the UK and Belgium can happen here if we're not vigilant. And I'm telling every one of you, don't take for granted your freedom and your democracy. Mort Klein is demonstrating to us that you have to be a fighter and don't take any crap from anybody. Mort Klein and this organization is not politically correct. They call it like it is. They say what they mean, and they say what many Jews in this country feel, but are too fearful to say it. This is a great organization, and I'm proud to be honored by this organization, Mort, and I'm proud to know you as a friend. Thank you very much.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support JBS, the Jewish Broadcasting Service, with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the JBS homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to Jem, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.